there, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Natasha, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be a full face of Charlotte Tilbury. I have accrued quite a few products from this brand over the years, and I find that a lot of the products I have currently are things I've recently gotten and I haven't talked about yet on my channel or shown how they work, shown them in action. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to do a ton of them at once. Out of all the products from Charlotte Tilbury that I own, the vast majority of them are lip products. I've accrued so many over the years, so I am gonna have a separate video swatching all of my Charlotte Tilbury lip products. I did do a full face of Charlotte Tilbury video probably over a year ago, and I will link that in the cards or in the description box. And I do have new products to talk about. I have a couple products that are the same from that video, but most of them are new products that I haven't talked about yet. I've moved all of the lip products out of the way. I'm just going to talk about the face and other Charlotte Tilbury products that I have to wear today. The lighting is killing me. I do have one skincare product from Charlotte Tilbury. It is their Charlotte's Magic Cream Instant Turnaround Moisturizer. I've never used this before. I'm excited to give it a try. And on top of that, I'll use the Brightening Youth Glow Primer. I have used this a couple times. I have a foundation. This is the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I'm in the shade Too Neutral. I really like this. I think this is a great full coverage, special occasion type of foundation. I have two of their light ones. The one in Spotlight is a highlighter. I have used this one a couple times. I recently used up Peachgasm, so I won't be able to use that as my cream blush. And then I do have the contour one. This is the fair to medium one. I haven't ever used this one yet. For eyes, I do have the Classic Brown Pencil Liner. I have used this several times. I really like this product. And I have a mascara. I have the full size and the travel size of the Legendary Lashes Volume 2. I'm just going to use the travel size for now, but I do have both of them. And for eyeshadow, I do have two quads. One of them I've used a ton. It's the Luxury palette. It's the regular one. I think they also have a palette of Pops in Pillow Talk, which is all shimmer or topper shades. This one is just the regular one. And then the eyeshadow palette that I haven't used yet is the Walk of No Shame Luxury Palette Quad, which has two gold shades and two reddish burgundy shades. For face, I do have the highlighter from the Filmstar Bronze and Glow. I don't think I'm going to use that today because I have some other highlighters that I want to play around with. One of them is this Hollywood Superstar Glow highlighter, and this one I don't think I've ever used before. In the pan, it doesn't look as silvery as the packaging would have led me to believe, which I'm glad. I would prefer more of like a champagne-y gold highlighter. This thing is enormous. It's like almost as big as my face. And then I do have a highlighter in this Nudegasm face palette. This was the newer version. They had an original version. I think it was called the Pinkgasm. I'm not sure, but I really, really wanted that one. Sometimes it would come back in stock for like 10 minutes. It would always sell out. I could never get my hands on it. So when they came out with this version, I decided to purchase it. I think ideally I would have preferred the colors in the original palette, but this one is still beautiful. I haven't used it on my face yet, so I'm excited to play around with the bronzers, the contour, the blush, and the highlighter. And I do have another blush that I have used it, I've only used it once or twice, and it's the Ecstasy Cheek to Chic Swish and Pop Blusher, and this one is really, really light. I'm not even sure if this will show up on my skin tone, and if it doesn't, I'll just add a little bit of the other blush in this palette on top of it. And probably the one I'm the most excited about is this Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I have been wanting to try this forever. I just picked it up in the Sephora sale, and I'm really excited to try this out. I haven't used it yet. I've been waiting for this video. Super pumped. I am gonna clip my hair back to get it out of my face. And today is really cloudy, so the light is gonna change a couple times in the video. I'm hoping it stays like this, where it's bright enough that you can see me, but it's not like direct sunlight in my eyes. And I'm going to start with the moisturizer. I typically apply moisturizer by spraying my skin with a facial spray first and then putting moisturizer over top. But I'm not gonna do that for this time. I wanna give you a more accurate description of how it feels on the skin whenever it's just applied on my skin with nothing else on it, just to make it a little bit more of like a universal type of review. I'm gonna take my rings off. I like to take my rings off before I put on skincare. So it looks like a pretty, yeah, this is definitely like a thicker cream. In order to get any product on my finger, I have to like actually press into it. More of like a harder whipped formula, I would say. It has a like very, very slight scent, kind of just like what a regular face cream would smell like, which I'm glad that it's not too perfumey. And then whenever you apply it to the skin, my face is gonna get really red. Don't be alarmed, that's just what my skin does. But once you start blending it in and it kind of warms up on your face, it does melt down and it feels rich without being like heavy or waxy. You know, sometimes you put a heavier cream on your skin and it kind of insulates it where like even the heat from your face can't escape. It just feels like thick and heavy on your skin. This doesn't do that. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more for my forehead. Doesn't sting my eyes, which is good, which is a good sign. And while I wait for that to sink in a little bit, it does feel like I have cream on my skin, but it doesn't feel tacky or sticky. And it doesn't make my face overtly shiny either. It kind of just makes my skin look like my normal skin. Liking that so far, but I know this is an expensive product and I use face creams in the morning and at night, so I imagine I would go through something like this really quickly. And for reference, this bottle is 1 fluid ounce. Yeah, it's almost slightly mattified my skin, like it really doesn't have any type of glow to it at all. And it just kind of feels like my skin now. It doesn't feel super creamy anymore. Now for the primer, I have used this a couple times already, and I know I like it, but it definitely is like a glowy primer. You'll see once I apply it to my skin, it definitely leaves a glow. It's not incredibly heavy, like it is a more liquidy type of texture, but it's, you know, if you have super oily skin or you're trying to go for like a mattified look, I don't think that this is gonna be the one for you. I'll apply it to half of my face for you to see what it looks like. I do find that if you are too aggressive with how you apply this, as it dries, it can sort of pill up on itself, but you just have to be kinder with your skin when you're rubbing it in, that's all. Honestly, I might just be using way too much, and maybe a glowy primer is something that you would only put on certain parts of your face. I'm not really sure. Like this side doesn't have any primer on it. It doesn't really have any like shiny parts to it. And then this one with the primer, like you can definitely tell it's got more of like a luminous finish. And while there aren't necessarily any glitter particles in the product, it does have like a glowy, almost pearlescent type of look to it in my hand. And it doesn't feel like silicone-y, it doesn't feel heavy, but it does feel smoothing. And this one maybe has a ever so slightly stronger scent than the moisturizer, but again, it's not anything too offensive. Now for the foundation, the Airbrush Flawless Foundation is definitely a very high coverage product, and I think this is a really good shade match for me because I typically try to go maybe just slightly lighter to better match my neck and the rest of my body. Like my body is so pale and then my face is like just slightly darker. So I try to go for a foundation that better matches my body instead of my face, just so that I can make it look a little bit more uniform. I'm just gonna put one pump on the back of my hand. If you find that you're not in the mood for high coverage type of foundations, maybe you can mix it with the primer or with the moisturizer or with a more liquidy foundation. I do typically mix this with something else just to get something that looks a little bit more natural. But the primer and the foundation, I wore these on my wedding day because they looked really nicely in photographs. They really did help even out my skin tone. But like one pump is like more than enough to cover my entire face and give me like really good coverage. I am gonna use a sponge. It's gonna white out my face almost completely. But once I put on the rest of my makeup, I think it'll look a lot better. Well, I know it will. Because it is so full coverage, if you have a lot of texture or you have, you know, just visible pores on your face, which I don't know who doesn't if you're a human being, this will emphasize that. Like it's not very kind to texture. I imagine it probably wouldn't be the kindest to more mature skin either. I think again this is like a really great mixing type of foundation for me personally for what I try to go for. I'm not usually trying to go for like such high coverage all the time. And this says that it's a neutral color. I think it still has like a tiny bit more yellow than anything in it, but I do think compared to other neutral shades that I've tried in foundation, other foundation ranges from other brands, I would say that this one is pretty neutral. I'm just gonna put a little bit more on my under eyes. I don't have a concealer from Charlotte Tilbury. I would be curious to try the color corrector, but I think it's overpriced compared to other color correctors that are out there, so I'm not really in the market to purchase it anytime soon. But yeah, I don't have any concealers to talk about today, so I think I'm just gonna use the foundation to cover up any darkness on my under eyes. And I think it does a pretty good job. Like, I feel like it gives a lot more coverage than even some of my concealers that I own, like lighter weight concealers. And it's like dried up on the back of my hand. It is something that dries really quickly, so when you apply it, you want to do it in sections, just so that it doesn't completely dry down before you have a chance to blend it out. I did go in and make sure to really blend it out so it's like the lightest, thinnest layer possible. And I mean, it does a great job to cover up any redness or any, you know, imperfections that I would want to cover up. This isn't like an everyday foundation. This is definitely something where if I know I'm gonna be taking photos or it's like a nicer event or something, like it's not an everyday type of foundation for me, but it is something I really like, and I do love mixing it with other foundations to add a little bit more coverage. I don't have any powder, but I don't really plan on powdering my whole face. The foundation does a good job at drying down on its own, so my face doesn't feel sticky at all, and you'll see all of the luminosity from that primer is pretty much gone. I think that's something that throughout the day, as the foundation and the primer mix with the heat and the oils of my skin, I think like that glowiness comes out later on. But I do think it does a good job at adding a little bit more moisture to your skin before you put the foundation on, so if you have any dryness, it won't cling to it as easily. I am gonna put just the tiniest bit of powder on my under eyes and set my lids just a little bit, but I'm not gonna put it anywhere else on my face. I really don't feel like I need it. I feel like my skin is pretty dried down. Like, it doesn't feel like I put a ton of powder on, but it definitely has like a powdery texture to it. All right, I am the most nervous about the contour product just because I've never used it before and I'm not sure, like it looks pretty dark like in the tube, so I'm not really sure. I'm gonna put some on the back of my hand. I don't know. Let's hope that shears out a lot. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of that on my sponge and oh, okay. Oh, that's not too bad at all. Great, that is good. I don't really know how to apply bronzer like this. I don't know how to do it. Am I supposed to just apply it as contour or what? Put a little bit of that on the side of my nose. And then I'm using the bottom of the sponge to make sure it is nice and blended. I'm gonna put some in my crease, just because I have a lot of product here. I'm gonna put some on the jawline. So that's what it looks like on this side. I don't have anything on this side yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm just putting way too much on and I'm not putting it in the right place. So I'm assuming a lot of that is user error, but I mean, it definitely does look more contoured and shaped. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. But for how much I accidentally put on my sponge and on the back of my hand, it wasn't like super scary pigmented. And it was something that I was able to at least sort of blend in without it looking like way too muddy. I do have two powder bronzer contour products in this palette as well. Maybe I'll grab a little bit of that contour. I don't really contour like ever anymore. I'm really gonna blend that out. I don't want that to be a noticeable line at all. I'm gonna put on a little bit of that Ecstasy blush and see if it really even shows up on my skin. I mean, it looks like I like a lot of blush. I love a heavy blush look. So I was worried that this wouldn't show up at all, but it does seem to at least give a little bit of a flush. So that's nice. Yeah, that's actually really pretty. I'm going to go in with a clean brush and just blend that out a little bit more. I kind of want to test out both of the highlighters I have. If you can see, one is more champagne and one is more gold, but I don't think on the cheeks they'll look that different. So I'm just going to use one side for one highlighter and then the other side for the other one. And I'm going to start with the one from the Nudegasm palette. That's really pretty. Nice and soft, but definitely still noticeable. I'm going to use the other side for this one. This one feels like a slightly heavier formula. I don't know, they don't even really look that different. Like this is the one that's more gold and this one's the one that's more champagne, but I don't really feel like they're that different. Maybe this one has a tiny bit more of like a noticeable texture. This one might be just slightly more skin-like, but I really don't feel like the difference is that palpable. So just know if you have one and you're thinking of buying the other one, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth having both. I'm going to wipe off that same highlighter brush that I was using, and I am going to go in with that peachier blush on top just to try her out. She's pretty. I don't know how much I love shimmery blushes right now. I think I prefer a matte blush. So between the two blushes that I've tried, I definitely prefer Ecstasy over this one. This one definitely has more of a noticeable peachy undertone and kind of reminds me of like Luminoso, kind of, but maybe more shimmery. So I've already put on a shimmery blush plus a powder highlight, trying out two different ones on each cheek. So I don't think I'm going to put Spotlight on today just because there's already so much glow on my cheeks already. But I did film myself doing my wedding makeup, my wedding day makeup, and I use this in that video. So I will, if the video is already up, I'll link it in the description box or in the cards. If it isn't up already, it will be up really soon. So you will get to see this in action, just not in this video today. I'm going to put a little bit of that pencil on the inner rim, upper inner rim, kind of like on the outer third, pushing it into my lash line. And do that on both sides. And then I'm going to take an angled brush. These ones from Essence, I really like. They're like $1.99. And what I'm going to do is push it into my lash line. And then whatever I have left on my brush, I'm going to push in the outer corner. You see that? That is how I do my eyeliner. I feel like it's the most flattering for my eye shape. Sometimes I'll go in and grab a little more from the pencil, and then on the top part fill it in a little bit more. It looks like when you compare it to the Pillow Talk quad, it looks like it has that similar satin shade and then a topper shade, but the topper shade isn't nearly as sparkly as the one from the Pillow Talk palette. So I'm gonna start by using that satin shade, the one in the top corner, and just put that on the first third or first half of the lid. Definitely a little bit more of a gold shade, like a white gold, I guess, compared to the Pillow Talk one. The Pillow Talk one has just a hint more of like a champagne pink undertone, but they're the same formula. They're both like satiny shades. I don't do a lot of heavy eye makeup right now. I think I'm gonna go for this bottom one, the one that's more purpley. This one's kind of more of like a coppery shade. I'm gonna take that one, with a stiffer brush. Just put that on the outer third. It's really pretty. I just have not worn anything like this, any like colorful eyeshadow that isn't just like a mauvey pink, in a long time. Just gonna blend that a little bit up more. Then I'm gonna take a fluffier brush and I'm gonna go in with this pinky matte from the Pillow Talk palette, and I'm gonna use that to blend. I could build more, but I don't really want to, and I'm gonna add a little bit more of that eyeliner just to deepen that back up. And then go in and deepen the lash line as well, just with whatever I have left on my brush. Before I put on my mascara, I'm going to use the setting spray. That is a very heavily fragranced, but it already went away. So if you're fine with it having a fragrance at the very beginning without it lingering, then this is good. It is very glowy. If I had known it was going to be this glowy, I might not have done as many sprays. It feels nice on my skin, but I guess I'm just used to setting sprays being more for, not mattifying necessarily, but for keeping your makeup lasting longer. And so when something is like overtly glowy, I don't feel like that's what it's gonna do. I'm gonna take just a tiny bit of powder. I only have a little bit, like barely any left in this container. And it's the Flower Beauty translucent loose powder. I'm gonna take whatever is left in that jar on a fluffier brush. I'm just gonna powder down the parts of my face where I don't want it to be overtly glowy. So the T-zone mainly. But for the parts that I didn't powder down at all, they don't feel sticky. It feels nice and set. It's just like significantly glowier than before I applied it, which I don't mind. But yeah, that's really nice. We'll have to see if it helps my makeup last all day. It is November, so the weather isn't very hot, so I don't think I'm gonna get super oily throughout the day. But like I've done in previous full face videos, I will wear this all day and give more of my thoughts of how things wear throughout the day in the description box, and any other notable things that I notice about the products as I wear them leading up to publishing this video. We have mascara and then lips, so let's move on to the Legendary Lashes Volume 2. Is this brown? This is what the brush looks like. On the camera it looks like it's black, but in real life it kind of looks like it's brown. Like a really dark chocolate brown. I can't tell. And it doesn't say anything on the container. Zoom in a little bit. This is what my lashes look like before. So that's what it looks like on one eye versus the other eye. Yeah, I can't tell if this is brown or black. I mean, it's dark enough that I don't really care. The brush is quite large, but I feel like that's something I say about every mascara I try. I like that mascara. Now for lip products, I have so many to choose from, I'm really not sure. One I've really been liking is the Walk of No Shame thinner lip pencil. I don't know what this is called, but it's a tinted lip balm kind of, and it's in the thinner packaging. And the Walk of No Shame is kind of like a brick red, but because it's a tinted lip balm, it's not overtly opaque like a lipstick would be. I'm gonna put a little bit of liner, the Pillow Talk liner. And I think I might have done this in a previous tutorial forever ago, whenever I was uploading videos regularly, but I draw over my Cupid's bow now, and I think it makes I think it just complements my lip shape. Little fun fact, I wore this lip pencil as my main lip throughout the ceremony for my wedding and for most of the reception, and then whenever I wanted to add later on some more moisture to my lips, I patted this tinted lip balm on top, and it was just really nice, low maintenance. It looked nice in photos. I didn't have to do a ton of touching up. I don't think this is like the most moisturizing product ever, like a tinted lip balm maybe should be, but I thought it was nice, and I think it looked nice throughout the night. This is what my makeup looks like, and I really like it. It's very in tune with how I like to wear my makeup. I like to have glowy cheeks, more subtle eyes, a nice flattering lip. I don't know. This is like very in tune with what I have been wearing lately. Maybe I don't do like the bright eyeshadow on the outer corners that much very often right now. I mean, it's funny. Earlier this year, I was wearing like blue sparkly eyeshadow, and then once I got really busy, I just kind of stopped doing anything that required like extra creativity or extra time to put things together, and I just really streamlined and wore really simple makeup looks that I felt pretty in, I felt put together in, but weren't like necessarily the most creative things out there. I will say it, I don't know if you have a lot of eyeshadow. I don't know if these $53 quads are gonna add as much value to your collection, to your makeup routine. If you are someone who doesn't own a lot of eyeshadows, you like subtle things, you like something that's like a little bit more special, I guess, where you're only gonna use 1 or 2 colors and you're not really doing anything too intricate, where you need a lot of different color options. I think these are nice, but I don't think they're the most necessary thing out there, honestly. Even though I do really like the Pillow Talk one. I really like that pink shade, and I like the Topper shade as well. I do like these shades, and I wear them a ton, but I don't know. If you have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, or if you have a lot of different colors you like to wear, $53 is kind of steep to add this to your collection. I didn't even put anything in my eyebrows. I didn't even think about it. I'll put a little bit of this brow gel from Essence in, but I don't know, I don't feel like I need a ton. Maybe just something to comb through. Alright, so that's the finished look. I hope you enjoyed sitting down and playing with some new products with me. I am sort of slowing down. Things aren't nearly as busy as they were before, so I miss filming. I miss having a channel and like getting to be a part of the makeup and project panning community. So I'm excited to be back. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a safe and happy holiday wherever you are. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!